Welcome, Music Multiverse listeners. This is Beyond Your Radio. I'm your host, Mark Kulagowski. So, what's in your ear? This is the show all about our panelists and what they've been listening to, and they're willing to share tonight. 3 albums I've not heard. Well, I know some of them, but not all of them. But before we get into the musical share fest, if you're new to the channel, in the words of Filter, welcome to the fold. If you're back, we promise continual musical amazement. Although I won't be playing anything because I have no musical talent. Have you subscribed yet? Well, obviously not, because we're still stuck at the same goddamn amount of subscribers. So come on, clicky, get it done.
Did you say survivors or subscribers?
Subscribers. Oh. I had a sneeze attack beforehand, so this is going to go Clint Eastwood, I'm sure, pretty quick. So we hate for you to miss a moment. Something that might surprise you, or sometimes we even surprise ourselves. We love comments, so chime in. Sometimes, something you might say might trigger something that we're going to do later. What about likes? They're cool, and they keep Google and the website happy, so please try those too. Yeah, I can't twist your arm, so you'll do what you're going to do anyway.
Subscribe.
Our panelists have been listening to all kinds of music, and we can't wait to hear what they... Was that?
Subscribe, get a new email, subscribe again, get another email, subscribe again. It's a cycle. Keep doing it.
Yes. I got multiple emails, 4,335. I can make this happen.
And we'll send money.
So each show is completely unique and should be an ear opener, especially in the beginning of the show. So tonight on the panel, at the my bottom is the Grateful Dude, live from Hawaii.
Who will send you money if you subscribe.
That's right. Yes, cash on the barrel. Alex Kaluzny from Lockport, New York. And Jeff Young, all the way from the lightning capital of the world, Tampa, Florida. So good evening, gentlemen. Here we go. I think we'll put the order in. Let's do the Grateful Dude, Alex, Jeff, and then myself. How's that sound? Yes?
Fantastic.
All right,
let's do it.
Let's do this. So,
let's roll.
Jeff, Grateful Dude, give me your first one of the night.
Okay, guys. So I have 3 ones that I've been listening to the last 8 or 9 days now. They are all recent. They're all 2023. They're all semi-famous people, if not famous people. And this is their latest catalog. So let's start. I did 3. I liked one of the 3. Let's start with the worst of the bunch, and then we'll move up the other way. First album is Dave Matthews. Brand new band, put out a brand new album, put out about a month and a half ago, called Walk Around the Moon. Well, I've been listening to Dave Matthews as long as I can remember, and he used to be good. I don't know what's going on with him right now. I think he did take a walk around the moon and smoke something up there, because I tell you, this is not the Dave Matthews. His writing's weak. His delivery, especially his vocal, is not like it used to be. His songs are awful. I mean, they really are. I tried. I listened to it, the album, 3 full times, and I just couldn't get much into it. And I consider myself a Dave Matthews fan. But after this album, I don't even think I'd go try to see him. So I'm very, very disappointed. Walk Around the Moon, the best song on the whole album by far. It's good. It's a little catchy and stuff, but it doesn't save the album. It really doesn't. Madman's Eyes, It Could Happen, After Everything, Break Free, Monsters, just really dogs. I tell you, and I hate to really beat up an album, but I tried to find light at the end of the tunnel. I didn't see any. So I don't know, guys. For you out there, take a listen. See, maybe I'm wrong. It can happen. But I will tell you, I have listened to a bunch of Dave Matthews, if not all his work, and most of it's pretty good. But of late, I don't know, something's missing. Something missing, and I don't know what it is. As I said, I think maybe he went to the moon and did some crack. I don't know. Anyway,
I haven't heard it. Has anybody else heard it?
I have not.
Would you? Do you agree? Do you think it's
Obviously,
just,
I have. I listened to just about everything. So my impression was that these songs might translate better live. I think the album is dull. I do agree. There's just nothing that stands out. There are a lot of musical parts to it, with the violinist and other things that happen with the secondary instruments and stuff, but the lyrics are just not grabbing. So, okay, I'm gonna make a little joke here. We'll see how this goes. I believe that we all know that most music of this nature and comes from a liberal position, and they got everything they want right now. The guy in there, they can't. So they're not writing that kind of stuff where they're upset at George Bush or Ronald Reagan or Trump or whatever. So maybe just didn't have anything to write about or get upset about. I don't know, but that's just my funny opinion. But obviously Neil Young hasn't put anything out that was really ripping, so he's not pissed at the president or the government. Or so I'm a little bit. I think that's got something to do with it. I think the best writing comes when a Republican's in office and we can bash the shit out of everything going on, and it works. But
Yeah,
well,
I think it's
pick another subject then.
Well,
yeah, I mean,
I think
diversify.
I think that brings up an interesting point, though, because, well, from the musician standpoint, we do know Dave Matthews Band to be a jam band. So you do wonder how much of this they can make good live in the sense of just playing. And this is coming from someone who hasn't heard it. But I think the other end to what Mark's saying, too, when it comes to the subject matter on that, such a huge issue in songwriting. I think not just for that band, but I think any band nowadays. I think you put so much stock in finding lyrics that can resonate and hit home that don't involve a certain subject matter, involve people to get out of their common theme or topic. So I think that those are two interesting takes, I think, both for you, Jeff, and for Mark, that and I know, Jeff, you were going to say something too on the live part.
Matthew should have stayed home and made jam instead of going and trying to jam, because it didn't work. I'm sorry. I really tried.
I don't know much about Dave Matthews, but I know with bands, sometimes they try to do things themselves, or they're afraid to change. And sometimes if you're due for a different kind of producer, that can make a difference. So someone telling you it's just not quite right, if somebody can't tell you.
Did you ever wonder, obviously none of us, well, I was in a band for a short period of time, but when you're in a band as long as they have been, right? And they are a band coveted for when their live performances happen, that they're playing the same songs more often than probably most bands are, right? So maybe you're stuck in that. I can't get that out of my head. I don't know. It seems to me that the bands that, I know people get upset, but those bands that take more of their new catalog and don't go, and they go to deeper tracks, or they don't go into the favorites as much, tend to have better songwriting as things go on, because they're not stuck in the past, or they change the versions.
Hey, if you're around long enough, you're going to have a bad album.
That's true.
And okay, well, you know what? Okay, we'll leave it at that. You got to know how to get out before you make a bad album.
yeah, time to retire. So
time to
when
know
you
when
look over
is
at
when.
the sound, when you look over at the sound engineer and his head's on the table, maybe you go, maybe we ought to get rid of this album. Let's start over again. More on that later.
What do you got, Alex?
So I'll go first up here. I will continue with the theme of what we recorded on Monday, Mark and I, with Beyond Live. I got on a kick of listening to my favorite Arkells album, which is Morning Report. And I think one of the things I noticed with this album, I got into it very organically, from the sense of it didn't take a single to make me want to listen to this. I was actually diving through Arkells' catalog, and especially stateside, but even radio wise, I think only like one song off this album even remotely got radio play. It's the only one they played off this album when I went to experience their concert last week. But aside from that, listening to the album itself and trying to give it a chance when I first heard it, which was a little late. The album came out in 2016, and I probably got into it 3 years after the release, maybe 4 years, something like that, into 2020. But really fun lyrics, clever lyrics. They're not, we talk about bands that are kind of political with their subject matter. I know the Arkells are not shy in that regard. But they had fun stuff in here, poking fun at private school kids in one track. Another track called Drake's Dad, which is just like this funny ass storytelling song itself. This is an album for me that I think I like that it didn't get a lot of notoriety, and it makes me a little bit more proud to like this as a favorite of mine. And so that was one for me that post-concert, obviously a little disappointed not to hear more out of it. It was Juno Award for Rock Album of the Year and for Group of the Year that year that it came out. They were just nominated, didn't win it, and performed Drake's Dad live. But and I think they released another single right after it that was on the deluxe edition that became their huge hit going forward with Knocking at the Door, but that wasn't on the initial album. So yeah, that's been kicking around in my ear after the concert, and no doubt deserves another listen for everybody.
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah. Jeff Young, what do you have?
I picked a more recent album from 2022, Parisia from Animals as Leaders.
Oh, nice.
It's their 5th studio album, and Animals as Leaders is an instrumental, progressive metal band from LA. And this is like the first album I've ever really listened to from them. But I mean, I couldn't tell you much about them other than that. But honestly, if you're into that instrumental stuff, I mean, this is pretty good. But I feel like it's a little bit all over the place. They're definitely really talented, and they have a variety of sounds, whether it's some electronic or just even just heavy drums and kick drums like you'd hear in a metal band versus, melodic to screeching guitar screams. But you listen to it and it's not like any other, like, I feel like sometimes you listen to it and you go, man, if this only had words, like you could listen to it and go, it's almost like you're listening to a song that, did I accidentally pick the karaoke version of this? Like, holy cow. Because I don't know, it just doesn't seem to always make sense. Like, and maybe it's not supposed to, but it's good. It's great for like background music. It's not something I think I'd listen the whole way through. Like something that might have more lyrics. And I like instrumentals, like even stuff like, say, Steve Vai, Joe Satriani, some of that stuff I can listen to a lot of. But I just feel like too, sometimes they want a little bit of everything all the time. Like sometimes I just like kind of wish, like, okay, did you really need to have those drums so predominant? Like it just kind of took away from what they were already doing. Like sometimes it doesn't feel right to me. But again, I want to listen to it a couple times. So it's not like when you're a kid and you invest, like when I was a kid, saving money from a paper route, go to the store, you invest in a little cassette tape or CD. So now you're invested in it. You're going to listen to it. You're going to want to like it, and you're going to make sure you like it somehow. Like nowadays, it's like so easy to just turn on and off and walk away from something. You don't really probably give it as fair of a shot as maybe we used to. So
So true. Such the problem in today with too much, right? And the ability to have it all. It's terrible.
Yeah, but I mean,
this is a band that
they're definitely good. They're definitely good. Definitely talented. The bands they tour with are just bands you'd probably never heard of. Real golf underground type metal bands, and they do festivals. And I mean, they're good. They've got a great career, I'm sure. But
so I have several. I have a few of the albums. They get a lot of notoriety on Sea of Tranquility and I think they've actually been on the program. Actually, it may have been on Beato's thing too. I guess I can't remember right off the top of my head, but I'll say this: for a progressive metal band,
They're good. I think they're for everybody.
they are extremely mathematically calculative of how they put things together. It borderlines sometimes when it shifts, you're not ready for it, or you don't, I don't know if I'm okay. So Dream Theater for me, okay, like this is an example because Dream Theater, there's similarities, right? When Dream Theater sings, I'm out, but when Dream Theater's playing, I'm in. Sometimes I'm scared of what the vocal might be, right? Just is it gonna fit? I don't know. These guys these guys, this isn't jamming. This is like just well orchestrated metal, you know. But I've enjoyed every album. Their titles, I would never have any idea what what the connection is, but it'll move you. What's the one band I'm trying to think of?
I feel like I could listen to the album 20 times and then I could hear a song and not know the name of it because a lot of them are they're so different from one minute to the next. Like they're all very good, but I don't know. They're just.
I think that would make that separate enough that you'd be able to kind of remember each one individually.
When they're all so eclectic, it's like which one has.
Yeah, well,
but
who's
it's
the
good.
lead?
It's good.
Nothing to fully do with the band at all. Just a fun little note too. I had lacrosse last night, and the one locker room I changed in, there must have been a show recently at Riverworks that still had the set list for Ashes to New, and it must have been their band locker room, the one that I was just changing. And I looked at the set list, and I was kind of like, sweet.
Ashes to New.
Fun little side one there too.
All right. Yeah, they're a great band. If you are into progressive rock metal, you'll enjoy these guys. It's all instrumental, as Jeff said. It's definitely they're definitely at the pinnacle of where their creativity is crazy.
I wrote that one down, no doubt.
So, 94 million miles away from the Earth. That's what this band makes you feel in every inch of this distance of this record. The band I'm talking about should probably be on That's Your Band Name. The band name is Leprous.
Leprosy?
Nope, Leprous.
There is a band name that though.
Yes. And their album Aphelion, which is when the sun is at 94 million miles away from the Earth, that's the farthest distance. This is their 7th studio album. I am just beginning to realize, and this is the record, so you get an idea of the quasi maybe dark nature of it. But the reality is they have this unique way of delivering. So at the beginning, when people talk about them, they talk about Radiohead meets Massive Attack meets Prodigy, but it's not on this. This is a departure. Like you said, 94 million miles away, right? So this actually has a very unique prog presence that it's melodic, dark, almost R&B presentedness, right? So this was considered in 2021 to be the 8th best progressive rock record of the year. From incredibly technical, I'll call it technical compositions. There's aggressive riffs, there's intricate vocal lines that are deep, and there's an emotional connection with the singer. So what's the singer like? It's dramatic, as the music is. This guy can flawlessly drop and play in the falsetto range of having like a Dallas Green of City and Color, which is completely obtuse from what's being played in a way. But you got violins and bass riffs a la Red Hot Chili Peppers. So my song that I'm going to play in this to show you the taste of this is called The Silent Revelation. but I do recommend this record to people who are willing to take a step in the progressive rock arena that's a little wild, maybe like that of a Sleep Token in nature too, if you're following along with what's going on. But that's Leprous, Aphelion, Aphelion, and it's from 2021. And I think you'll be stunned at the progressive nature, the falsetto vocals, and some of the instrumental violin and horn section, or oddly used horn, that it takes on. It's very odd melodic. That's my first one. Back to the Grateful Dead.
My turn again, huh? Okay. So my next album is very interesting. It's, I don't know, I'm not going to say I don't like it. I don't think it's my taste or style, but I took it on. First of all, it's, the length is ridiculous. It's well over 3 hours. And if they were doing sides of records, there'd be 3 of them. So I'm talking about the songs of the Bacharach / Costello by Elvis Costello. And Burt Bacharach did a lot of adding. There are many different singers and contributors here, but mostly it is songs of 60s, 70s, maybe some 50s in there. A lot of Bacharach standards and stuff like that done in Elvis Costello's beautiful way. But it's strange. So the first 12 tracks are all Bacharach songs and done by Costello and Bacharach. Then the second 12 are all Costello songs done by Costello and Bill Frisell and Audrey May and a whole bunch of people. Jenny Mulder, all kinds of people. And then the last 12 are the first 12 we just talked about, only done by Elvis Costello. So it
in
is
their original version, or
the same thing
new?
except in his version. Very, very, very weird. Okay, so like you're gonna have Toledo twice, In Darkest Places twice, God Give Me Strength twice. It's weird. I suffered through it. It was a hard pull, especially the second time around. The first pull, it was a little new, and then why am I listening to all these very close knit? So I don't know the purpose of this album. Mr. Costello's always been a little on the strange side. He's a fabulous musician in his own right, and so is Bacharach. I've never knew him as much of a musician as a songwriter, but still, if you are into swing, if you're into the oldie kind of what they call pop, old pop of the 50s and 60s, you'll probably enjoy this album. You'll probably enjoy this album, but only one time. It's just, or pick a side. That's basically it, because there's the side 1 and side 3 are identical in the order of songs, just done in a little bit different fashion, but not enough to make them different. Do I like the album? Not really. Would I listen to it again? Maybe bits and pieces. There's some oldies in there that I like, some standards, but I think this was an album to be made because they had nothing better to do, or they were on some kind of agenda, or the record company wanted something.
Well, you kind of wonder if they even did it together. It was just pieced together, that kind of thing. I hate that. I hate when
it's very possible. It's very possible they did piece it together. So, but this is a very poor executed compilation of two great musicians.
Yeah, we've done good things together. that don't. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, well, maybe they should, you know, set up a lemonade stand instead of putting out this kind of work.
Quite the
So,
critical what's in your ear for you today.
yeah, well, it gets better. Okay, so,
Yes.
but hey,
Well, that's
I decided to go in a. I've been picking stuff that I like and stuff like that because that's mostly what's in there with life. So I've decided Mark's been talking in my ear lately. So and telling me, let's explore your dimensions. So I've gone down a rabbit hole.
you misheard me. I said explore your dementia.
I've gone down a freaking rabbit hole and I don't know how to get out of it.
We can cut the episode right there. I can't.
Well, let's hear from your dementia, Alex.
Well,
back to you, Mark.
Go ahead, Alex.
My second one is an album that was probably in a lot of people's minds dementia related, in the sense that it was quickly forgotten. And this isn't a highly touted album. This is a straight nostalgia pick. It was Smash Mouth's self-titled album from 2001. It was an album I just had in my Walkman as a kid. Going to hockey every now and then, I'd throw this on. It was just a fun, up-tempo. I don't know what the hell I was thinking as a kid. I sure as hell wasn't a music connoisseur at the time. I knew this album existed before I even know who the Hip was. So that tells you everything you need to know there. Just kind of looking. I've listened to this occasionally when it comes on my playlist. And this week it was just in the shuffle and I threw some more of the tracks on because has at least 9 or 10 that I really, really like off of it. Again, it's just a nice poppy, fun. I don't know. They're a band that I've liked a lot of their singles in the past too. This album actually came out post popularity for them. It's well known for having the track "I'm a Believer" on it, which was a huge part of the Shrek soundtrack at the time. And it's actually probably my least favorite song on the damn album. I can't get over that song at all just because of how much it was overplayed as a kid. But everything else they did on it, I thought was good. Not going to say it's great by any means. It's only a 42-minute long album. To talk about how weird it is for this too, there was the suggestion on a voting contest on their website for what to name the album. What won was to name it after themselves. There was nothing else original that anyone could have come up with or added or voted for that sounded anything better than just name it after yourselves for the third one. So an interesting thing I learned about it, just kind of looking back through any fun facts about it, their guitarist actually wrote all but 2 of the songs on it. Not even the lead singer having a hand in that, nothing. So
that happens more often than you think.
So I didn't realize that though, especially for a band of this magnitude at the time and the genre. I might have expected that, like you were saying, Mark, maybe from older bands and groups at the time. But these guys, yeah, that kind of caught me off guard too. I mean, obviously one of them's Neil Diamond, but yeah. So there's my second one, Smash Mouth self-titled album from 2001.
Well, there's certainly not beyond your radio. As a matter of fact, right all overplayed on the radio.
Not really any of the tracks on it were though.
No, just 2. I think there were 2 off of that were bombastic. Anyway, Jeff Young, what's your next pick?
Next one is an album that just came out this week. It's self-titled Caivano, Caivano. It's the 25-year Monster Magnet guitarist Phil Caivano. It's his debut solo album. The Monster Magnet drummer also plays on the record, and I think they used his studio to produce it. But Caivano actually is the vocals, the guitar, and the bassist for the album. And these are songs that he had been working on and just decided to finish during a lot of downtime through COVID. and in the pandemic, the only comment I saw that he made about it is he just says it's a straightforward, dirty rock and roll recording, kind of thinking about his childhood influences for what he liked when he grew up. But I mean, it does sound like, you could definitely tell it's the Monster Magnet guitarist, and it is a rock album for sure. I think personally, you just kind of listening to his vocals. Listening to him, knowing he's from Monster Magnet, it just makes you wish it was a Monster Magnet song. It was the Monster Magnet lead singer, because he's not as good as he is. But I mean, it's a good album on its own, but it just kind of leaves you wishing, I wish they would have just made this into a Monster Magnet album. But I mean, it's good. But anyway, I had just kind of somehow so at once I need to listen to it again. But so I guess if you like Monster Magnet, or just straight ahead rock and roll with some good rhythm guitar and some decent solo work, that's your thing.
Yeah, rhythm guitar, space rock on it. I did listen to it. It was actually on my list of albums that might show up on album review Saturdays. I thought, like you, his vocals blended. I didn't think they had, but then again, I was taking it from the position of Monster Magnet, and their front man is he brings it and then some. So that's a hard act to follow. I was hoping for a little bit more melody in it, but there wasn't.
Yeah, there wasn't really.
But hey, it wasn't bad. It's not the worst thing
No.
I've heard all year, and I think it fits in the wheelhouse that people will enjoy. I'd put it on again, and probably get some more out of it. Songwriting was good, made sense. So, all right. So I'm gonna. I mean, I don't know what it is, man. I can't get out of the 70s. Wait a minute. I can't get out of 1970. So in all those albums and the explosion of psychedelic rock and acid rock that was going on at the time, this band, while obviously influenced by the likes of Cream and Steppenwolf, didn't like the conventional blues sound. They tried desperately to avoid it. As a matter of fact, in the inner linings of the record, they talk about it. We'll talk about some other things I'll mention in a second. But what they're known for is electric flagellation. There's a cool word, huh? The band I'm talking about is The Human Beast. Volume 1, 1970. And, pretty nice packaging. Volume 1. Well, there wasn't a volume 2. One and done.
The album artwork looks very late for 1970. Like it looks more modern.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with that cover. Naked chicks on the cover work pretty well in that it doesn't look like a 1970 cover. Is that what you're saying?
That's what I'm. Yeah, it looks like it's something that could come out in like the 90s.
Then again, if you look at all the other 1970 covers, they're all different and all over the place, right? So you never know what's going on. It just looks nicer probably because. Say again?
That cover looks like Grateful Dead met David Bowie.
I would, you got a point there, but if you notice the lovely violins here at the bottom, see that? What does that state? I don't even know what that means.
I only noticed the skeleton and the half-naked broad. So
clip art from the 70s.
or the fact that head's at waist level to the skeleton.
Yes, yeah. Well, there's probably other things they cut off to put everything on. So you can't avoid a blues riff. You really can't in this, but their sound is very unique. And while the familiarities come in and out with that Cream that I'm talking about, the vocal and guitar kind of style thing at certain points, there's thunderous moments, shocking pieces of improv that are wicked, and guitar abuse that sets them far apart from anything else going on in 1970. So why wasn't there a volume 2?
That's a big statement there, Mark. Big statement.
Yes, it is. But once you hear it, There's no record in 1970 where you'll be listening to it and going, and then what the just happened? What? I'm telling you, I one of the songs that I'll play will demonstrate that. But why didn't they have a volume 2? They weren't a very serious band in any way, shape, or form. They weren't paying much attention. So they go to record in the studio. They get there and the drummer forgot his cymbals. So they picked the cymbals out of a garbage that were half broken, so they couldn't use certain things. They just didn't know what they were doing or how they were going to do it. And this is what they came up with. When I tell you this, when you listen to this record, you're going to be kind of stunned that they still pulled off what they did. Had they had their head on straight and got the serious shit together, this might have been one of the record in 1970 to behold. But instead, it's obscurity. And how do I know about this record? Because I don't create from a vacuum. I watch other YouTube channels and shows, and thank you to that particular channel, which I won't mention at this moment. But they mentioned that these were releases that were coming out. I thought they were new, but no, they were old releases being re-released, and it was a nice find. And I remember all he said was to the host of the show, he goes, "You're gonna love this record. You've never heard it." He goes, "No, I've never heard it." And I'm thinking about when we did the 70s show, and I loved If. I go, I gotta try this record. I went and bought it. I had no idea what it sounded like. Didn't even try. Just went on the website, bought it with the other 6 albums that he recommended that I never heard of either. One of those was Leprous, come to think of it. So that's my number 2. It's The Human Beast, Volume 1, 1970, psychedelic acid rock with this electric flagellation. And I recommend it. I really do. I think it's unique. Whether your ears will be turned off by it, that's could be happening too.
Does it have cowbell?
Yes. But not as much. It doesn't there's I
So it
remember
needs
one
more, is what you're saying.
I was not the producer and I didn't have a fever, so I wouldn't know.
There's still time. The second album could still come out. Volume 2 is pending.
Well, both or 3 of the band members are with other things right now, and as a matter of fact, their kids are actually involved in some pretty interesting bands. I could go down that rabbit hole, but that's a show we haven't done yet. On to the Grateful Dude for his final pick of the night.
You know what? You broke up. I couldn't hear you. Did you say me?
Yes, the Grateful Dude. Wow, I broke up.
Yeah, it was. You had a second of silence.
Okay.
That's okay. That's hard to. I don't see seconds of silence out of you very often. So hey, we'll take it. So anyway, my last album and my favorite of the 3, something I will listen to somewhat regularly. I enjoyed it very much. First, I'm gonna read something out of the dictionary. The word is skiffle, and it's a noun, and it has both a U.S. and British translation. From the U.S., skiffle, a style of 1920s and 1930s jazz deriving from blues, ragtime, folk music, using both improvised and conventional instruments. The British, a kind of folk music with a blues or jazz flavor that was very popular in the 50s, played by a small group, often incorporating improvised instruments such as washboards. And the third definition, skiffle, is a genre of folk music with influence of American folk music, blues, country, bluegrass, jazz, generally performed with a mixture of manufactured or homemade improvised instruments.
So they're not bite-sized candy.
And so where am I going with all this? Am I nuts? Possibly. It is Van Morrison's brand new record, released about 2 months ago. Moving on, Skiffle. Well, talk about going into the dregs of the trash can for lyrics on this one. These are almost all old standards. I worked in New Orleans for a while, and I used to go to a lot of jazz clubs and almost heard every single song on this list played 3 dozen times. So this stuff goes way, way back. He does it with Van Morrison style. Now, if you're not in the ragtime, you're not in the New Orleans jazz, don't even bother, because you will be bored within a heartbeat. I don't think Mark could stand more than 6 minutes of this record. But
I don't know. I love my New Orleans jazz, but I like it in the club. But when I heard about this record, I had to look up what skiffle was, because I thought it was a London type of fry pan where they fried pizza badly. So I found out it wasn't.
Or New Candy, one or the other.
Yeah. So when I did, I was like, and then it was like, God, Van Morrison. And then I'm thinking he was the them, so he's got a flavor for it. But I listened to the first half. I haven't gone to the second half yet.
Well, and it's funny. The first half and second half are almost the same. They're all very, very old, 20s, 30s, 40s songs.
Mhm.
I mean, Freight Train, what is it? Cotton Fields, I'm So Lonesome I Could Cry.
That one was a good, that was a good, I like that. That was great. That's great.
I mean, I liked every single one of it. All 23 tracks I enjoyed. It was like pulling out of somebody pulling out memories out of my head. It was beautiful. Now, what I really like about this his voice really, really leans to this type of music. I mean, we normally hear him in his regular Van Morrison style, but he's translated it beautifully to these kinds of songs. And considering I did know every single song, or I've heard every single song a few times. So I really liked it. I mean, I really liked it. I couldn't tell if there was any washboards in there. I listened to it on headphones and listened to it in the car, listened to it on the lawnmower, but I haven't listened to it with my earbuds, which I'm going to plug in and see if there are some improvised instruments on there. But well done, Van Morrison. Well done. One of the best albums I've heard released this year. At least the works in my style. I really, really enjoyed it. I'm glad I found it, and this will become a regular listen for me, especially when I just want to. It brings up. I smile when I do the songs, and I'm singing every single word. So obviously, it works. It hits all my trigger points. Alec?
Well, you always look for albums that, especially with guys who've been around a while, you always worry when new stuff comes out. And then you always get bands that you always wish would have put out more music, but for some reason are physically unable to. Zeppelin without Bonham, or take your pick on bands, anything like that. Just a small example. So, no, it's good that you found one that kind of fit in that wheelhouse that can still make something new that doesn't sound bad, or regrettably you can never hear again. So
1 out of 3 ain't bad.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Hey, 1 out of 3 gets you to the major leagues in baseball. So
yeah,
get on base.
Hey, hitting 333 is not a bad way to get up there. So for my last one, I went with Mark's Dreaded Country. His favorite genre, as you can tell by the head shake. No, this one was a good one from 2014, Sam Hunt's Montevallo, named after a small town in Alabama. So I got caught wind of this album when it first came out for a lot of its singles. Obviously, new artist, 1 or 2 get on the radio, you get some play on it. it's a nod to the hometown of his now wife, and a lot of the songs written were about the challenges in their relationship and going through that all. Fun little fact on Sam Hunt, former quarterback, played at UAB and made a couple NFL training camps, and decided to go into music. So with this album, Keith Urban actually recorded one of his songs, Cop Car, and became more famous for it being a Keith Urban track. And I actually like it better as Sam Hunt's version.
Okay.
I think I mentioned this on a past episode where you get earlier country albums and they're very untouched. The labels don't try to aggressively interfere with what you put out. There's no interference, so you get a lot more what the artist is about it in the first couple. And then as they get popular, they try to tailor it into a certain vision and shoot it off from there. And this fits the mold
It's
of
the exact opposite of rock, usually.
right. And this is a lot different in the sense of you're getting the raw version of him at first. He wrote every song on the album. So he's got a little bit of that country singer-songwriter thing where when he passes that track off to Keith Urban later on. But wrote a fantastic album in terms of different sound, doesn't sound overly generic. It's lyrical, it's got its heartfelt songs, it's got its fun ones. Raised On It's probably one of my personal favorites off of the album. It has good meaning to lyrics, which is something that Sam's done a really good job with over the years too, even with some of the other things he's come out with after this album. He did a great job with it. I'm almost positive it was his debut, and it took off. And so
What year?
2014.
Okay.
So it's got a little country pop to it. A little bit, but not like overwhelmingly annoying either.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, it's great to hear it from a guy who's a singer-songwriter for other artists. And when he finally puts out his own stuff, it knocks it out of the park when you're getting the most authentic version. That's more of the record label saying, what do you got first before we sign you on, put our hands and fingers into producing things and so on and so forth. So he's had some good music out, but I still like his debut right here.
Yeah. Jeff Young.
The last one is from 1983 that I picked. I remember buying this cassette tape when I was 12. It's The Eliminator from ZZ Top.
Nice.
Great album.
Woo.
And this was my introduction to ZZ Top because I was only 12.
Right.
But it was their I want to say it was like their 8th album, I think, by then.
Something
But,
up there. Yeah.
They had 4 hit singles: "Give Me All Your Lovin'," which reached the top 40, "Sharp Dressed Man," "TV Dinners," and of course "Legs," which is their most popular song. It's definitely their most commercially successful album too.
I still cannot believe
videos.
Legs was ever a WWE wrestling theme for a guy or for a girl once. It made sense, but I still can't believe that was ever a part of that song.
Yeah. They had music videos for "Give Me All Your Love" and "Sharp Dressed Man," "Legs," and it was on MTV quite a bit. That kind of helped get their popularity with some younger people like me that had maybe not listened to them before, or had maybe only heard a song here or two on the radio, on rock radio. But what's funny is the guitarist Billy Gibbons, he had been kind of inspired by British electronic acts like Depeche Mode and Orchestral Maneuvers in the Dark, to kind of explore some electronic music technology, not necessarily music, but the technology. And he often spoke with one of his engineers about these ideas, and his engineer was a former DJ, and kind of showed Gibbons some of his own personal research, showing that many hit songs were clustered at a tempo of 124 beats per minute, which is faster than any ZZ Top normally song before Eliminator. So Gibbons followed suit in most of Eliminator, setting a new pace with the drum machine, hitting that. So like Legs and Sharp Dressed Man were both at 125 beats per minute, while Give Me All Your Lovin' was at 120. Of course, those are some of their most popular songs. I don't know if it's really the reason or if it's just a coincidence, but anyway, that's what happened. And but that was like the very first time they paid serious attention to timing and tempo in their music, and it turned out pretty good. What's really cool is on the album cover, the 1933 Ford Coupe, which belonged to Gibbons, and he had like a customized Corvette engine in it, and it appeared obviously on the album cover, but in a lot of their videos as well. And it's for years it's still there. It's in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, but it still runs because Gibbons will stop by and take it out for a spin now and then. But just an awesome car, you know.
Yeah.
So it's in the Hall of Fame, and he drives it just to keep it going.
Absolutely.
I mean, when he visits there, you know, they're like, it's his car. He can take it whenever he wants. But
I have a great ZZ Top story. So back in late 80s, when I had my restaurants, I had a booth set up at the California fair, and ZZ Top played. And after their set, they came over and ate my barbecue. And I'll tell you what, you don't want to see 4 bearded guys with barbecue sauce from the top of their lips all the way to the tip of their beards. It was awesome.
And those are white beards too, so
Yeah.
you definitely saw it.
You definitely should have taken a picture of that. They're eating
I
that.
did, but I don't know what happened to it. It's in the archives.
You're killing me. You're killing me.
That's the ultimate food brag right there. So did ZZ Top like your food?
What do you think?
Yeah, I don't know. We'll figure that one.
I saw them 2 days later. Was still in their beard.
They were such a bunch of nice guys. I went on and talked to them for a while and stuff. And they actually played for 5 days straight at the California Fair. So they must have really been on hard times, I think. But Mark, your turn, right?
Yep, I'll end it tonight on the grassy knoll.
JFK?
Yeah, I was gonna say.
So the Grassy Knoll is an American music group that was active in the 1990s to the 2000s. This is their debut record. It's multi-instrumentalist Bob Green. Their music was largely influenced and drawn upon this idea of rooted rock, jazz, or not rock, but more jazz fusion and hip hop rhythms. So they got lucky with Network out of Canada, who was signing people that were not in the normal wheelhouse of what was being played. And it was reissued the following year on Polygram. You've got trumpeting hell a la Miles Davis callouts that smack you around while the hip hop beat and drums and bass lines create this dark ambient sensibility that can be shocking. It can be exotic, like you've never heard electronica being done before. Some places it's like a whisper into your ear, only to explode in your head seconds later. So it's ear catching, and that's where it was for me. And I always go back to this record because it puts me at the development of where this was. I mean, after this, there's people like Hooverphonic and Portishead, and that put lyrics and started to play around with this a bit. And we'll call it trip hop, right? Tricky, maybe, those kind of players. So this is the Grassy Knoll. The Grassy Knoll. And I don't think it had anything really to do with the assassination of Kennedy, but I think it's a cool name for the band. I think it worked out all right. I'll probably play a track here called Unbelievable Truth to give you an idea of the band and what's going on with that. So on that note, I think we're complete for this. What's in your episode 10?
One thing I want to add, please. Okay, as you know, I've sent harsh requests to everybody I know, telling them they have to watch the show and like and subscribe. I think because of the number of description Mark tells me have, some of these guys are lying to me. But I have a 15-year-old person that I know pretty well who's watched every show we've ever done. And he has this question that he texted me yesterday for you, Mark.
Okay.
Okay. He would like to know how you pick your albums for your Saturday, and how you pick your albums for like the different episodes that we do, because he just seems that some of them come out of left field. So
Okay. So I'll start how it starts, and I don't think I can show it on the screen back here, but I'm going to give it a try. So there are multiple places to find releases, but usually those are releases that are in a norm of a standard record label. And nowadays, standard record labels are starting to get broken apart, or there's other ones coming in. So to give you an example, you're going to see the Warner Brothers, the Atlantics, the Front Runner maybe, or Road Runner Records, the ones that have been staples for a bit. But now there's side offshoots like Ripple Music, which I've talked about on this channel, and I'm trying to get the guys from Ripple Music to maybe give us a moment of their time once a month to talk about their. But they stay in a wheelhouse of stoner psychedelic rock, and they sign bands in that arena. So what I do is I go to Pause and Play, which is on the web. Pause and Play will normally give you a pretty good rundown alphabetically of the albums that are actually going to be in physical release, tangible. But they'll also put down next the download, which are which are download releases, which is nice. Download releases generally get a release later in physical format. I go through that. I'll go to allmusic.com, which has their own list too. They probably are, I don't know, I'm making suppositions, but they don't tend to have as many of the records, because I think it's all based on people reviewing those albums ahead of time, and I don't know how much of staff they have anymore. But usually you get about a pretty good mix of rock, R&B, blues, classical. It comes in at the end, so there's always something there. And then I will literally go 20 pages deep on Amazon. It's a sickness. I have it. It's hard to shake. So at that point, one of the things that happens too is my Twitter world's a little bit more busy than the Facebook world. These guys on Twitter that I follow and all the music area, they're like, have you heard this? Oh my God, this is crushing it. And it didn't get a release except maybe Bandcamp, so this is the new world order is Bandcamp, it seems to me, for new stuff. So how do I pick what I'm going to listen to, right? Let's see if I can.
See, at first I thought the question was going to be, how does Mark pick his fedora, based on the pause that Chef Jeff threw in there, and then he went releases. I was like, okay.
Oh, okay. All right. You got me.
If you can picture the game Mousetrap, that's kind of how it looks like in Mark's brain.
No, how I picture it is the old screensaver on Windows when it takes you through the maze on its own, and then you run into a dead end, you watch it go over.
And it has the error messages at the end.
No, it's got AOL dial-up as a soundtrack.
Yep.
Where am I?
I believe you're on the dark web.
Yeah.
I am. Is it visible is the question, right? It's probably not.
Not in detail, but you can see the Excel spreadsheetiness of it.
Oh, Jesus, get up. So these are the names of the bands. This is the album. This is the release date. This is my rating and my reviews. So I have that for every year since 2016 when I started this, up until right now today. So I'll type the releases and then I'll go, geez, what do I want to listen to? And like for instance, we're in August now. And
it's a formula, but it bloody works.
Yeah, that's funny. I was thinking the same thing when you said that.
I'm pretty sure Disturbed wrote down with the sickness about being okay with Mark's lists.
Exactly.
So last weekend, I looked and I went, KT Tunstall has a record, and it's with Susie Quattro. I'm like, I have to listen to that. That's crazy. Susie Quattro's from the 70s. She's a pop bass guitar player and vocalist. What is she doing with KT Tunstall? So that was interesting. I listened to a band called Hail the Sun. Then there was a guy named Emmett Fenn. Emmett Fenn's bio says something like he was nurtured by a whale. I listened to it because it made no sense to me. But it's a decent album. It has like and I said, so he has
Kinda
a
still
bio
helps
that's
that.
slightly off, but his music is soft, adult, alternative, a la Chris Martin from Coldplay. But it's kind of melodic. It's got some good things going on. So that's how I go and I pick. But then again, too, I'll get interrupted where we're going to have a challenge or something else is going on. So I try to listen to everything. It's not alphabetical. It started alphabetical, but it always grows. And in some cases in here, you'll notice, well, if I was to send the spreadsheet out to people, I could be in August, and then you'll see a line that's in a different color where I found out I missed something from a year ago, 2 years ago, and it'll be typed in there 2017 that I listened to.
Danny
So-
Warsnop, Shades of Blue.
Yeah, no, Danny Warsnop, Shades of Blue, I listened to that year when you mentioned.
But late.
So,
But late.
yeah, later in the
missed
year.
that
Yes,
one.
yeah.
See, I would have been persuaded away from that last album you just read after the track where he talks about his uncle being Moby Dick.
Well,
So, great
Grandma-
question. I'll take any questions. I think that answers my insanity. Yeah, usually it can be also in a mood. Remember too that I do album for today every day on Facebook and Twitter. So there's always some album that gets played, whether it's old or new. So,
Or themed.
or themed sometimes, yes. Very seldom
Well,
themed because
Someone passes away or
Yes, and speaking of that, I will make note tonight that Buffalo
Yeah, I
lost
knew
a
that.
legend today. And just I only think it was a few minutes ago, maybe.
I saw
yeah,
it
I
come
was
across.
trying not to bring it
Yeah.
up during the show.
So we lost Rick Jenneret, one of the greatest voices in sports broadcasting today. Rick Jenneret was the voice of the Buffalo Sabres. He is in the Hockey Hall of Fame and in the Broadcasters Hall of Fame. A salute to him and his family and everything. We appreciate everything that man did for Buffalo and families around the area. And there will never be a voice like his in hockey. So on that note, I want to thank the panelists. It's a good show. I want to also thank our 15-year-old listener, watcher, I guess we'll call it, for the question. He's if you'd like to come on the show and give something, no. Well, maybe as he gets older.
he's already down a deep rabbit hole. If he follows you, we'll never find him.
Yes,
again.
yes. Follow me down my rabbit. I'm like in the flute, and I'm not Jethro Tull.
Yeah.
So we're on the web at www.beyondyourradio.com. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all kind of craziness going on there. Who even famous people are following us now. Maybe it'll get bigger. Who knows? But damn, we need some subscribers. So clicky, make me happy.
Even the radio station in Billings, Montana.
Yes. Hey, or actually not Billings, Montana. We're now being called by a radio station in Dawson Creek, British Columbia. I want to thank them if they're watching this. Very cool out there. So happy listening, everyone.